I think a trade has got to be coming in the next 2 weeks. And, not because of Bryce Huff's hamstring, because that sounds like it's only a short-term deal, like a 2-week deal, whereas Kittle's was 4 to 5, right? But although, most hamstrings are like 4 to 5, maybe. But they needed help at defensive end anyhow. So to me, it was like, that didn't impact the urgency. They still needed defensive end help. And I could see them getting a defensive end. I could see them getting a cornerback, maybe an interior lineman, if it depends on how they feel about the center spot. I almost feel like they don't want to trade for a center because, I don't know how bad Brendel's hamstring is, but they ruled him out right away. And Hennessy came in, and he acquitted himself better than we expected because there were some issues in the preseason and camp where he said, ooh, I don't know about this. And he did really well. He helped push McCaffrey into Connor Colby's tractor pull. I liked that. But behind them is Drake Nugent, who was an undrafted rookie last year. To me, it's like the center position is overlooked, but it's so vital in kind of making the calls on the line and having that connection. And when I asked Mac Jones about the transition, he said, oh, there was no big deal because he and Hennessy were they were the number 2 unit.
When it feels like you're watching things that you've never seen before, you bring in the author of the franchise.
Look at that.
For historical perspective. Yes, I've got a copy here. Cam Inman of the Bay Area News Group.
I got one of those somewhere.
Yes, you do. I see it over your shoulder.
Those are the guys that did the forward. That's Frank Gore and that's George Kittle. That's my trophy from coaching softball or something. So, yeah.
Frank's been around. It's been cool. George finally returned. Sunday night was quite a scene. I think I heard Steve Young say this, your boy Steve Young say this the other day on KNBR, like when you've been around, you don't like anything is possible. So I don't know at 5-2 what comes next for this team, but the fact that they're at 5-2 and then it's gone. And of course, Bryce Huff is hurt now, but there's that old riddle, and it's like a famous riddle, right? Where it's like if a ship leaves England and on its journey from England to New England, you replace every plank of the ship when it arrives at its destination. Is it the same ship or a new ship that has arrived, right? One by one, you replace every plank of the ship as it's crossing the Atlantic. Is it the same ship or a new ship?
It's the same ship. It's a ship.
It's the same ship.
That's like very Jim Harbaugh-esque, by the way. I let off my 49er mailbag today in mercurynews.com as somebody asked me to describe the team in one word. And rather than use the ship analogy, I summed it up with reforestation, where a tree goes down and a new tree is planted and to nurture the environment, right? So I think we're on the same wavelength there because one's down, another one gets its chance to sprout and blossom, and you never know what's going to happen. So
what the hell is going on?
I believe it's just the National Football League guy is players get hurt, and you better have some depth. And I think right now nobody knew anything about the Niners' depth, right? Because we're so blinded by the stars, and you go, well, the depth's going to be bad because they haven't been tested. And so right now they're getting tested, and they're finding a way to persevere, whether that's what I don't like that I've like the last couple of days is people want to credit like one person or one coach. Football is such a team oriented game. And that's why I'm like, it's not because of George Kittle blocking that their run game's going. It's not because Saleh threw in a few blitzes. They just figured out a way to out-scheme an opponent that was inferior, and guys on the Niners played really, really well, above expectations, and they only turned the ball over once, I believe, right? And they still can't get a darn interception, but I think that they always say turnovers matter, and they do matter a lot, but you got to play smart football, and if you can run the ball a lot and play some solid defense, you're going to win.
I think it's a great point because I found when I was talking about the game afterwards on Sunday, every time I wanted to mention somebody, credit to this guy. And then you're like, but also this guy and 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 this guy. And I do think it's been a masterclass. I thought Shanahan's perspective last week, for all of the Kyle is he's a great offensive coach, but I thought his perspective, the way his leadership on here's how we're going to reframe. And I think, Fred, the fact that it was Fred that got hurt and Fred handles it the way Fred handles it. Yeah. Have you ever, covering him,
it's hard to put in perspective because Fred's been such a great leader, and for him to speak after the game that in Tampa was very surprising to me. And I was fascinated. I was wandering around the locker room asking every guy I could to tell me the scene and what it was like and whether it was the most emotional locker room. There's been emotional locker rooms all the time, but I think Fred Warner showing up at Levi's and cheering on his team and not just making a cameo pregame, but like staying in the stands and kind of be there with the fans. And then after the game, I'm down outside the locker room and here comes Fred wheeling by on the scooter yelling Dub City. And I'm like, this guy he has such an infectious positivity to lead people, is very unique. And so that's why, a week ago, it's like, how do you can't ignore that void. Like for Bosa, it's like, well, yeah, we lost him. We know, big quality guy, but Fred meant so much to this team. And they have to figure out a way to get through it.
I thought Tatum Bethune wearing his 48 was a stroke of genius. He already wears 48, but
and he credited D Winters with setting him up with that jersey. So D Winters was the one that supplied it. But you know what? You were there in training camp, so you know that Tatum Bethune played really well in camp, in the off season, in preseason. He played in preseason, plays to Fred in those games, and I was so impressed. Where I thought maybe Tatum Bethune lines up next to Fred rather than D Winters, but D Winters did nothing to lose his job. So. Nobody can replicate Fred's passion and fire out there, but Bethune can be like a quality NFL middle linebacker. So can he be like the best? No, but like Fred was so unique because his range and his instincts and his intellect and he wore that 48 Fred Warner jersey as a rookie. And I'll tell you, when Fred Warner was a rookie, I just remember the impression like it was yesterday. Fred sitting at his locker during the media hour that we're allowed in there and just his head's buried in the play sheet, like just going through everything, the script of practices, everything that's coming because he wanted to know. And I admired it. And I didn't really say, oh, this guy's going to get it. But I admired the work ethic, and it wasn't for show for the media because if you wanted to talk to him, you could. Otherwise, he was focused.
Interesting. I was thinking the last couple of days about, you look at every week, I think after the Niners play, I look at the schedule and go, okay, if you think they've suffered too many injuries to win the next game, let's go look at who they play next.
That's right.
Oh, they play Atlanta. Okay. They can, not that Atlanta's not some pushover, obviously, but, I think the common understandable kind of feeling around this team is how unlucky can we be? How unlucky can they be? And I'm watching Mac Jones going, how lucky? Wait a second. Could you get any luckier? Like maybe this team is not unlucky, but they're lucky. Because to have Mac Jones as your quarterback when Brock is, 99% of other backups this season, that would be the thing that sinks the season is Brock Purdy's injury, and it hasn't.
Yeah, but which coach has experience of shifting through three different quarterbacks every season just about? And Kyle's had to juggle with that before. And I think the fact that Mac's come in and he's done so with a swagger and fun and knows his place. And it's not like I'm here to prove I'm better than Brock Purdy. I'm here to prove I'm an NFL quarterback, that I can lead people. And it's wonderful to see. And you're right. It's something they really do need because you look around the league and quarterback changes are going on around teams. And I really, this year really could be like survival of the fittest year. Like everybody's going to get hit by injuries. And the Niners got hit so hard the first month and a half of the season. There's still so much more to go. So does it balance itself out, or are they just going to be a complete shell of themselves with a new ship come December?
What's your read on doesn't sound like Brock's coming back this week?
I don't think so, because I think when Kyle, if he said yesterday Brock's going to practice full this week, then you're like, all right, full steam ahead. This is unplanned. But when they say we're going to, take it as we have been, that to me is they are still very cautious and leery of it. So before the game Sunday night, I happened to be walking by the locker room, and Brock was coming in the tunnel from working out on the side field. And, I go, oh, hey, Brock. He goes, hey, Cam. And he just seemed chipper, and everything was like typical Brock, right? It wasn't, hey, I just messed up. Because there was a report, I think, yesterday or today, whatever, saying that he didn't have a good workout on Sunday. And I'm like, gosh, then he hit it really well for me, because he seemed really optimistic and kind of, everything was coming along well. But I think that people have to understand that the turf toe injury can be really serious and really painful. And the Niners have the luxury of playing Mac Jones some more, and they don't have to force Brock back in there. And, I happened to go on a run today and ran by my sister's house, and she was telling me about her turf toe injury and how she couldn't play soccer and all this. And then she wanted to play an adult soccer league. So after a few weeks or whatever, she strapped on a cleat. And she said, you know what? It felt good. I go, that's because the bottom of the cleat has a flat surface. And that's what they do for NFL players. They'll put a little iron, not iron, make it harder. So the toe doesn't bend as much. And Brock did that, I believe, when he came back in week 4. So they'll take the precautions. You're asking me what I think. I think they're probably going to wait a little bit more. And I asked Shanahan on the conference call whether it factors in that they're playing on artificial turf in Houston and then in the Meadowlands in Jersey. And he said, no, not that he's been aware of, but he's not going to say anything otherwise, because you don't want to pretend that you're babying the guy. But Brock re-aggravated that toe on the natural grass surface of Levi, so it can happen anywhere.
Right. We had 2 hamstrings, right? Watching Brendel and Huff on a natural grass this week.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you asked that question, because I know I looked a few weeks ago. The Texans turf is the same turf as the SoFi turf, which is not. It's a different brand than field turf. The Giants turf is apparently it's been replaced since
the 2020 ACL destroys and everything.
Extravaganza.
But it can be replaced, but there's still people don't want to play on it for some reason.
I'm just saying it's a different surface. That's all. But
probably about I don't want to say maybe 10 years ago or so, Houston was notorious for having a bad field because they had these grass trays they would bring in, and you could see the seams, and guys hated that. So this is probably better than that. That's awaiting them in Houston.
What do you see as their next? I think we look so often at you're grinning, and the next thing's going to go wrong. But okay, Kittle's back.
Yeah.
I'm with you on Purdy. It's at this point, why rush it when your quarterback is playing as well as Mac Jones is playing? There's no reason for Brock to come back until he's 100% healthy. So what's the next plus? Is it a trade? Is it Pearsall?
Oh, yeah.
Is it?
That's good. Oh, you want to go positive? I like this. There we go.
Yeah.
Lose all the viewers.
It's clear to me what the people YouTube want.
Yeah, they're all leaving to the bathroom now. They're like, we don't want any positivity.
No, it's all they prefer.
Negative
Trust
Niners
me.
talk here. That should be a podcast. Negative Niners. Yeah, I think a trade has got to be coming in the next 2 weeks, and not because of Bryce Huff's hamstring, because that sounds like it's only a short-term deal, like a 2-week deal, whereas Kittle's was 4 to 5, right? But although most hamstrings are 4 to 5, maybe. But they needed help at defensive end anyhow. So to me, it was that didn't impact the urgency. They still needed defensive end help. And I could see them getting a defensive end. I could see them getting a cornerback, maybe an interior lineman, if it depends on how they feel about the center spot. I almost feel like they don't want to trade for a center because, I don't know how bad Brendel's hamstring is, but they ruled him out right away. And Hennessy came in, and he acquitted himself better than we expected, because there were some issues in the preseason and camp where he said, ooh, I don't know about this. And he did really well. He helped push McCaffrey into Connor Colby's tractor pull. I liked that. But behind them is Drake Nugent, who was an undrafted rookie last year. To me, it's the center position is overlooked, but it's so vital in kind of making the calls on the line and having that connection. And when I asked Mac Jones about the transition, he said, oh, there was no big deal because he and Hennessy were they were the number 2 unit and through camp. And so that's why it's oh, okay, that makes sense. But anyhow, back to the point of a trade. Yeah, I would think a defensive end, it's still number 1 priority, maybe some offensive line help. cornerback help, and pray for rain.
Pray for rain. And what do you think? Like, not trade anything more than a fourth to get it? That's every trade. It's like, all right, let's get a defensive end for a fifth round pick. Right?
I'm actually more curious if they'd be willing to part with a player, do player swaps, because they're talking about they want to protect their future, right? So say you can't get a guy in 2020 that's under contract through 2026. Obviously, that's the dream. They've done that with past guys. But what
you're saying? Trade for a player who has another year, who is not a free agent at the end of the year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But what if you is there a guy that you could ship out on the Niners in return rather than give up on your coveted draft picks? Would you trade Juwan Jennings?
Well, I mean, that's kind of the one, right?
I mean,
where else do you have anything?
It depends, I guess, on Ricky Pearsall's health and Brandon Ayuk's comeback. If you think those guys are going to be healthy in 2 weeks at the trade deadline, then yeah, I'd probably explore it, because obviously he's not happy. Last game, he did not have a good game. He bobbled that pass that got picked off. He missed a block here. There was
two first down catches.
What's that?
He caught two first downs.
Yeah, and that's what he does, right?
Yeah.
That's great. I mean, I don't see him as a disturbing force in the locker room. I think he's a good guy. So, but he's not signed, and he knows he's not going to get a long-term deal with the Niners.
Yeah.
Do you have you have depth at safety? Do you have depth at running back? Because Jordan James and Isaac Rendo don't see the light of day on the field on offense anymore, or yet this season. So, but you also know that you need running back depth in this offensive system, because they usually, hopefully McCaffrey can keep it up, but I think you can't give up the depth there as you can maybe at safety and some other stuff.
It's an interesting thought. Yeah. Now, I mean, there's some teams who you go, what are they? That it makes it in a way a little harder to find a trade partner, right? A third round pick is the same to everybody. Juwan Jennings, that now it's a specific.
Yeah, I think partner. It's like, but I think at some point, like, some of these teams will start to, okay, let's cut bait, let's go, and Lynch has been up front saying they've been working the trade market for a couple of weeks now, so it's not like they're going to back off. I mean, they're winning. They have every right to go. Every year they make a trade, so why would they not do it this year? Because they're in contention and they are very thin at a lot of spots.
They're in second place in the NFC.
What do you mean? Oh, in the NFC, but they're atop the NFC. The whole NFC West. I mean, are you kidding? This 3 teams at 5-2, and I know the Niners have the tiebreaker for now. But if they don't hold that tiebreaker, if those teams match them, it's going to come down to common opponents. And the Rams have done really well against common opponents already, and the Niners have a couple losses that the Rams don't. So that's just something to also kind of keep in mind.
Well, yeah, I mean, they've beaten Houston, right? So that's the Rams beat Houston in the opener, so that's a double big one this week. They beat the Colts, who the Niners will play on Monday night in December, and they beat the Jags, who we know the 49ers lost to. So now, and they've got a bye, and they play the Saints. They still play Tampa.
But I mean, we're so far away from that. I mean,
let's start now.
Well, okay. So positivity-wise, you got the trades coming. You got Ricky Pearsall coming back, and I would imagine Brandon Ayuk will be back in the next couple of weeks, because he's still doing rehab. There's no warning signs that he's off, not participating, because every Friday Thursday, John Lynch is on the radio saying, I'm out there working out this morning. So I think they just know that he's only a year removed from a major knee injury, and they probably said, we're holding this deadline no matter what. We can't rush him back. And I'm fine with that. So Brandon hopefully is not fine with that. You want him to get going on the field. So
yeah, I mean, you'd love for him to come back, I think, in 3 weeks against the Rams and the Cardinals.
Yeah.
I mean, having the head-to-head tiebreaker is so significant.
I agree.
But then this is the point you're making, is but you got to win the second one, or else
that's right.
It all goes away. Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, but at least they got the first out of, they the only NFC West team that's played every divisional opponent, I think, because the Rams have only played one. So that's in their favor too, because the other teams might cannibalize themselves too. So. Yeah,
the Seahawks and the Rams still play twice.
I mean, it's a great way. We talk about the best way to get to the postseason is to win your divisional games. Take care of the division first. Remember, Mike Nolan win the West.
I don't remember that. That was
they
his
had
thing?
they had a big banner outside on the way into the locker room that had "Win the West," and I think that may have been that may have replaced the "Rolling with Nolan" banner that was a little corny. So.
Where did I read somebody this week? Somebody wrote, or I just saw a snippet of one time the Falcons came in with Jerry Glanville, and he was really proud of the fact that they'd beaten like the Raiders and the Rams, and he brought with them on their own sideline some like California Champions trophy.
Oh, is that right? Oh, that would make sense. That would track.
And somebody, yeah, and the Niners, and he realized the quote from Jerry was like, he realized he'd miscalculated when he saw how much it pissed off the 49ers before the game. Maybe Dion or somebody, I don't remember who, saw
great.
it before the game. It's like, oh, that's.
I wish coaches had that kind of swagger and did that kind of like open motivation stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
Dan Campbell's probably as close as you can get to it. So.
Yeah. It's very it's collegial, you know.
I think Kyle's past that. Kyle's just like, dude, I'm just trying to figure out who's still healthy that I can put on the field.
It's easy to say he's the coach of the year. It's also too early for that. But the one thing I'll say, Cam, is the coach of the year typically is a guy who coaches a team that people didn't think was going to be that good, right? It's rarely the Chiefs are the favorite and they win 14 games and Andy Reid's the coach of the year. That's why Stefanski's won it twice. It's like, dude, this guy coaches the Browns. Give him the trophy. And my question is not so much about the coach of the year as it is like, it's been a signature Shanahan year so far. Sometimes those years come in years where you're not in the Super Bowl, and so far, and I think I do think the credit to Sal is deserved with a young team. If you only get Robert for 1 year, to have him with a team this young teaching football is really valuable.
Yeah, and it's not just us saying that though; it's the players themselves saying it. So that carries weight, and other experts around the league can say that too. And then when they lose, people will back away and say, maybe they're not so good. It's just how it goes. And
what are the players saying?
The players are like, well, heck, George Kittle said right after the game, when he was asked if it's a gritty team, he said, well, Mac Jones has done great, and then Robert Saleh is free agent pickup of the year. And it's just like, no offense to Kyle, but yes. I mean, Saleh's had, it's like a shell game going on defense saying, who's around? There we go. And finally, like everybody was just really glad to see that activity of blitzing and not blitzing and blitzing, and finally just put some pressure on a young quarterback that they're going to have to do in Houston again, because TJ Stroud looked absolutely terrible on Monday night. The offense itself looked really bad in Houston. So the Niners need to seize on that. And, the Texans could be without a couple more guys, but that offensive line wasn't great. The Niners defensive line is going to be missing Bosa, you're missing Yetur Gross-Matos probably again, and you're missing Bryce Huff, who really was having a pretty darn good year. So the other guys who are going to be in there need to step it up. It's got to be Mykal Williams has to kind of have him like a big breakout game, I would think, for him.
All right, Cam, will you be there? Will you be in Houston?
Yeah, sure.
You wouldn't.
I'm bringing my son for his 18th birthday. Got to find a party.
All right.
Do they have a Benihana in Houston?
They've got to. Oh, come on! To me, any NBA city has a Benihana.
But I don't think you can do Benihana, and I mean, there's probably like a steakhouse on every corner, like there's a coffee shop on every corner in Seattle.
They have Benihana, and confirmed there's Benihana in Houston.
Wait,
I mean, if you want to know where's the Benihana, be like, find the NBA hotel and go within 6 blocks radius. There's a Benihana and a what's that chain steakhouse? All the NBA guys love the not Morton's.
Morton's.
Ruth Chris. All the NBA guys love Ruth Chris. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, we can maybe get a sponsor for this segment.
We have one. It's Puesto.
Yes, wonderful Puesto. You can get that over by Whole Foods when you're in Santa Clara, right off Great America Parkway.
Look at you.
Yeah, it's a very nice looking place.
Yeah, it's a great place.
Yeah,
I recommend you go.
I believe they also have a taco stand inside the San Diego Padres ballpark.
That's right. They sure do.
Those are amazing. That was like when I first had it, I go, that might be the best taco I've ever had.
Oh, you are definitely coming back on you are definitely being welcome back on this show anytime.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you hooked me on Tito's. Now I got to hook me on Puestos.
All right, Cam. Thanks for making time. Have a great birthday weekend.
Okay. Thanks, Guy. Good talking to you.
Likewise.
Okay. Bye.